Greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks in historic Route 66 with an explication request. If you have an explication request, send it to explicationrequest@guruexamprep.com. Today's request is the following question. XYZ county sewer revenues, 6.5% muni bonds, mature in 20 years. They're currently offered at 92% of par, 92. They have a yield to maturity approximately. So this comes up a lot. People say, well, you told me I'm not going to have to calculate yield to maturity or yield to call. And here's a question, practice question asking me to do it. I said, well, if you recall what I told you is that you need to know the relationship of these yields in a relationship to each other. It's the relationship that's testable, not can you calculate yield to maturity. A simple function calculator, you can even do what is only called an approximation. So what we should do is draw a flat line. This is the teeter, totter, or seesaw. I'll link in the video description to a whole lecture on the teeter, totter, and seesaw. And what I love about the teeter, totter, or seesaw is it turns judgment questions into aim and shoot, point and click questions. So whenever you buy a bond at par, all of the yields are the same. The nominal yield, also known as the coupon, also known as the fixed or stated rate of return. What will they call it on your exam? Whatever you're not prepared for. And then you use the teeter-totter or seesaw to turn this into a recognition rather than practical application or judgment question. There's my line for a bond at discount. So since this bond was issued, interest rates have gone up, causing the bond to go down. Brand new bonds probably pay something, I don't know, in the 7% range, perhaps. And that's the point, by the way. You're not really interested in the coupon and the price as much as you are what you would make if you bought this bond and held it to maturity, right? Because you're going to get $1,000 at maturity, so you're going to get another $80 from just holding the bond to maturity, as well as the $65 in annual interest, 6.5%. That's what you're interested in. What does that look like, right? So now we say, okay, well, that's what these yields are going to look like. The relationship where the nominal yield is going to be lower than the current yield, which is going to be lower than the yield of maturity, or fancy word for that basis, which is lower than the yield to call, right? That's that relationship based on the teeter-totter. So now I can do current yield, very testable, what an investment pays me by what it costs me, very testable. Or another way you might want to remember it is AMP, annual interest or annual dividend market price, MP, right? When I do that, I now know that's 7.6. So I know the yield to maturity has to be a number higher than that, right? I know it can't be 5.96 because it can't be less than 6.25. It's got to be something more. So process of elimination, that now goes poof. It can't be 6.5 because I just did current yield and it was 7.06. It's got to be something north of that. It can't be 6.23 because it's got to be something greater than 6.25. So the answer to this question is that the approximate yield to maturity is 7.19. So for the test taker who had this request, that's how you will solve a question like this. You do the teeter-totter. Now, if you want to know how to do the rule of thumb approximation of yield to maturity, I don't know why you would adjust the interest, the $65 by the prorated discount. We're making another $80 over 20 years. So we're making $4 a year by holding the bond to maturity. So we're really making $69 each year, $65 in annual interest and $4 from the prorated discount. We take 69 and we divide that by the average price of the bond, 920 plus 1,000 divided by 2. And that 2 would have given us an approximation of 7.19. But please note, what Dean says stays true. On the test, you're not going to have to calculate yield to call or yield to maturity. You need to know the relationship with the teeter-totter and being able to do current yield. You can solve questions like that. Remember, inch by inch, yield to maturity is a cinch. Yard by yard, yield to maturity is hard.